Hi, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. I'm glad to be back with you. And it's Sabbath, Friday evening, and I'm so happy. I look forward to this day every week. So I wanted to do a Bible story tonight. Last time we read about Jesus beginning his ministry, and he found two sets of brothers that were fishermen. And he said, "Come follow me." And they did. And that's what we should do. When Jesus calls us, we should go right away and do what he wants us to do. Well, I'm going to read about or tell you about a miracle. Now, a miracle is something that could not ever happen all by itself. But with the power of God, miracles are completely possible. Now, I get this story from the book of Mark in the Bible. And this is Mark chapter 1. And I'm going to start with verse 21 through 28. I'm going to tell that story. Jesus heals a man with an unclean spirit. Now, when it talks about unclean spirits, there would be clean spirits and unclean. And the difference is that clean spirits are affected by God. And that could be angels, be the Holy Spirit living inside of us. Unclean spirits, though, those are from Satan. And Satan is the adversary of God. He hates him. He's very jealous of him. And he hates people too. In the Bible, it says that Satan comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Well, those are terrible things, every single one of them. But Jesus comes that we can be saved. So let's see what happens when he meets up with this man that has an unclean spirit inside of him. That doesn't mean the man is evil. That does not mean that at all. It means inside of him, he has an evil spirit that is making him do things that he would not do on his own. So Jesus and his disciples, they went into Capernaum, that's a town, and immediately entered into the synagogue. That's what we would call church. And Jesus was teaching. And everybody was amazed at his teaching because he just didn't teach like somebody that was reading from the word or telling you a story about the word. He taught like someone who really knew it. Someone who lived it, because he did. And immediately in the synagogue, there was a man with an unclean spirit. And he cried out, "What have you to do with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are. You are the Holy One of God." But Jesus rebuked him. And he said, "Be silent and come out of him." And the unclean spirit convulsed the man, caused him to jerk. And he came out crying with a loud voice, "Ah!" And everyone was so amazed. And they wondered, what is this? This teacher, this Jesus, he speaks with authority. And even unclean spirits have to do what he says. They were very amazed. And because of that, everyone began to hear about Jesus, and they began to follow and look for him. I would want to follow him too and look for him, because those were amazing things that were happening. And you know what? Those type of things can happen even now, because God is still God, and he still cares completely for us. So I want you to know Jesus still does miracles. And we can pray and we can talk to him and ask him for things. And he said, if you ask in my name, you'll receive. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that I could say, oh, Jesus, I'd like $1 million. Because Jesus knows that maybe if I had $1 million, I would depend on that. And I would forget all about him. So he's not going to give me that $1 million because in the end, it might hurt me. He knows what's best for us. But I have prayed and I've asked for healing, like for my son, Jason, who was so sick. He had many strokes. And he is doing so much better. And I'm praising God for that. Just like I'm sure this man who was set free from that unclean spirit must have been praising God too. Well, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. So glad to be able to share these true stories from the Bible with you. And I'll be back again soon to tell another one. Good night. God bless you. Always remember, keep dreaming. Good night.